Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with meaningful conversations in English with non native speakers like myself, Jendrik.
And myself, Masha,
And we are two English teachers who,
who know what they're doing. Do you
whoa,
know what
Masha,
you're doing? I'm
I
skipping.
want officially I say yes. Unofficially, however,
But this
not
is
so,
on the
a great.
record. Do you understand that?
I know it's on the record. I know. People are listening and they actually choose us to be their teachers based on that. So what do we
Mhm.
say?
Yes, of
No,
course.
but you know what?
But nobody
It's
knows because they're only theories.
yeah, exactly. I had exactly the same feeling, because when you feel down and kind of, um, I don't know, you feel like there's a lot of theory here in language learning, I mean, and probably books that you haven't read, and there's knowledge and there are answers basically out there in the literature, but you don't know them, and you may feel like, oh my goodness, what am I even doing, right? But then I guess you start digging and nobody has the answers. Take vocabulary learning. You know, simple thing, right? I mean, maybe not a simple thing, but
Simple thing. You take a notebook, you divide a page into the columns. On the left, you write
yeah.
an
But I
English
was
word.
I was
On the right.
thinking honestly, I was thinking recently, if it makes sense to study vocab explicitly to broaden your repertoire, and do it explicitly to memorize stuff. And I'm not so sure about it because I would say that 90% of the effort, however, it's not based on any serious literature, it's maybe my feeling that 90% of your effort in memorizing gets lost, goes down the drain because, you learn certain, let's say, 100 items, and I guess 10 of them at most get to your long memory. And basically the 90% is lost. I mean, one
I
year
don't
from,
know if I
let's
agree.
say,
It depends on what you do with the language.
uh, yeah, you're right. You're right. But I'm talking about, learning some, this is my strategy in French. I meet some phrases here and there, in newspapers or anywhere, I take them down and later I do nothing with them. But imagine I did something and I started to learn to memorize, to cram. And I guess 1 year from now, from the moment of learning, I would probably not remember a lot of them,
But
you know,
do you use French every day?
kind of. But, I caught myself lately that it's the kind of French that does not allow me to make any progress because this is more like survival French. It's like, my interactions are about surviving and are not about developing my speaking skills or my self-confidence. It's like sometimes I perform better, sometimes worse, but I get by, I
Oh
survive.
yeah, but if you had a job at a French office or if you had French
That's
friends,
different. Yeah,
of
that's
course you would
different.
use
Yeah.
all this language that you've learned.
Yes, it's true. However, well, let me finish, that vocab thing because, I think it's relevant. So let's say that you lose a lot, the retention rate is I think relatively small, right? I know that you may be repeating forever and trying to push it into long memory, but um, I'd say the retention rate, the natural, let's say, retention rate is somewhere around 10%, at most. And so natural, I mean that, this is the vocab that you actually get in touch, you reuse it. There are these theories that you have to find 7 different contexts where it, appears the word or the phrase, and then it's kind of pushing it to the long term memory. But this is the natural thing that happens when you live and come across certain phrases, and so on. But if you want to artificially speed up the process, oh, let me learn flashcards, 100, a set of 100, 200, 500, and so on. I'm not so sure if this effort is worthwhile. I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm trying right now to read, various stuff like, how to teach vocabulary by Thornbury, different things, but I'm not so sure about it. My gut feeling is that explicit learning of vocab when there is no follow up. And what is the follow up? I mean, basically context, right? I mean, you have two options. You can either explicitly and artificially sort of broaden your repertoire, learn a lot of phrases, or you can simply, uh, use your repertoire, kind of grow it, let's say, more or less naturally, because the contexts that you encounter will kind of add a little bit very slowly. But who knows that if at the end of the day it's not the same? Don't know what is your point
Well,
of view.
not my case, definitely. I remember
So
when
let's say
I
that.
was doing FCE and I was preparing for
Mhm.
this exam. It was a long course, 9-month course, and I learned in this way, what you call explicit. And oh my
Mhm.
God, it boosted. I had a tremendous progress.
All right, but was it? Hmm. Yeah, there was a time in my life when I was learning vocab extensively, but I don't know. Right now, I feel like a lot of effort goes down the drain, simply. And the question uh, is it worth fighting for that 10% retention? If my theory
Well, in your
is
case,
right.
obviously not. If it all goes down the drain, then yeah, what's the
No, I mean
point?
not all, but that you still got 10%. 10% is more than nothing, right?
Yeah, but
But
10% you can get naturally without learning
yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. However, it just gets you first. So there are two other things to consider. Learning vocab, explicit learning, like memorizing, gives you the feeling that, oh, I'm progressing, I'm doing something, I'm learning. And eventually maybe it does actually uh augment your, cognitive skills, your memory, and so on. But I'm not so sure. But the other thing is, does learning new phrases, new vocab help with mm, your, I mean, does it actually expand your horizons? I know. Does it improve your thinking, whatever? This is also a vague concept, but it could be the case. But I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you speak more beautifully than you naturally do? You know, because we have
No, you,
certain.
you you can improve the way you naturally speak. I would put it like that.
All right, all right. So yeah, but it's a long process, and
Yeah,
and
it's a
and
long
I don't think.
process. I'm not denying it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's definitely not like, a better vocab makes you kind of a cleverer person,
Well,
right?
who is talking about being clever? It's about,
No, I mean, but I mean like seeing more, uh, being a better observer of reality, seeing more nuance. Because let's imagine that, by improving vocabulary, you kind of see things in greater nuance, right?
but
Like,
no,
because
no, it's
right
the
now you
other
can
way around.
express.
When you start seeing things in greater nuance, you need more vocab to express
Yeah, yeah,
this.
exactly. So
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So can you actually shortcut that way and go straight to greater vocab without, growing in terms of perception and so on?
Yeah,
I
but
wish
if
I
you're
knew.
learning, you're talking about first language. But in second language,
Mhm.
if you're an adult, you've probably already, your reality is pretty nuanced, but you're lacking vocab to express it the way you do it in your first language. Then, of course, it
Hmm.
makes all sense to do that.
Yeah, you're right. But
But
I'm not sure, I'm not so sure about it. Mm,
so
yeah, so
we don't
so do
know.
I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing? Am I know what I'm doing? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, so my official answer, if they ask me during a job interview, I say yes, I know what I'm doing, but But the real one, luckily, this podcast isn't so popular, so that my future employers could listen to it.
Find you on this
So
podcast is and hire you.
yeah, so but it's also, I think, a good thing to acknowledge that I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I wish I was a teacher like that, but I think it would also kill certain energy that I have, you know, if I was a technocrat, if I was a person who's following the latest findings in science, neuro, brainology, whatever. So I guess being a teacher is also about possessing some kind of sorry, this may sound like a charlatan, but like some magical power, and that is
Oh,
yeah.
it really does sound
Yeah,
like.
but sometimes students uh, simply take your words to their heart, and the whole process is simply going forward, a process of learning, right? Because your teacher said so. And it's not always the case that the teacher knows what they're doing. Is the same in medicine, by the way. Sometimes a doctor, even though they are obliged not to lie to patients, but there are white lies that they may actually use. And they may sometimes lie to a patient saying, "Oh, you look very good today." And this may not be the case entirely, but the patient's like, "What? Really?" And they
And
start
this is
improving, right?
magic.
And this is magic. And this is the kind of energy that, some kind of optimism, enthusiasm, I know what, something that is infectious. And I guess it's because you may, on the other side, have a scientist, a teacher scientist who knows everything about how memory works, how language is learned, how second language enters
But
your
that's
head
the
and so
thing.
on.
Nobody knows. People can only assume.
People can only assume because
But
we cannot open
we
that
are
brain and
actually
see.
segueing very gracefully into my question today.
That's even better.
Um, I don't know if I'm forming it correctly, but I want to know, do you see the line between, or maybe a relation between being humble and just not having a spine?
Oh my goodness. The first thought that comes to my mind is that they're sort of opposite things. Why would you say that being humble
Well,
equals
humble, I
being
mean, when you
spineless?
when you basically don't have firm beliefs and you doubt everything you believe in, that's what being humble in. Like you doubt, you always challenge your beliefs, but at the same time, maybe you just don't have any strong opinions. You don't believe in anything. So a teacher who is, well, do you see my, do
Yeah,
you
I,
see
I
where
mean,
I'm
I
coming
mean,
from?
I'm trying to define in my head what does it mean to be humble, because I don't think it's actually lacking
Maybe
a
humble
point
is
of
not the
view.
word. It's not the word. Maybe.
So what do you mean? Well, maybe give me some illustration, like.
Well, I watch all these podcasts and all these writers,
Mm-hmm,
authors of different books. They come there and they strongly believe in something. They have some convictions. They've written books about it and they're ready to defend their opinion. Uh,
mm-hmm.
and I, on the other hand, I don't think I have any. Um, I don't know how should I put it? The system, how I see the world, which I'm ready to
Mm-hmm.
defend.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I
Mm-hmm.
just spineless, or
No.
so? What does it make me? Tell me something good.
Mm, no.
Well, like my son, for example, who is now uh, finishing ninth grade, and he doesn't want to continue education. And he asks
Mhm,
me plainly, what do I believe is the value of education? And unfortunately, I don't have, like the times we live in right now, I don't have a definite opinion like my mom would have given me when I was
mhm,
15.
mhm,
You know,
mhm,
it was
mhm.
It was just out of the question. Nobody doubted it. But now, and there are many things like this, especially you realize it when you have children, when you have, children that are not, 5-year-olds. They start asking you because they want to, and like you imagine a great parent, like a father, this who knows what's right, what's wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to be teaching this
Mm-hmm.
his children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that.
They are you are touching something very important here, eh, I've got some reflections, but regarding parenting, I think that our parents who seemed very um, sure of their beliefs,
Yeah, yeah.
and what is the opposite of spineless? Spiny?
Well, I don't know. I'm looking for a word. Humble is
But
definitely
but you
not.
know, they may have faked some of that, and I say that based on my approach to children. Sometimes they need answers, children need answers. They sometimes expect it, so why should I do it? And you remember probably that sometimes the explanation of our parents was because you have to do it. Go
Yeah,
to your
that's
room.
the end
That's
of
the end of,
discussion
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
said so.
Yeah, and it's not. It wasn't the result of their, strong convictions and worldview and whatnot. That was very organized and
No, I
so
think
on.
it
But
was
simply,
exactly the lack of it. And they used the
perhaps,
last
yes,
argument like it's a
yeah, yeah,
kick
perhaps. But
between
sometimes,
the legs.
yeah. But I another thing I wanted to make reference to because you said that you watch these experts, and they speak with confidence, and I had exactly the same thoughts lately, and I caught myself tweeting less and generally expressing less in social media anywhere, not because I think the social media sucks, and so on, but there is a certain movement like that, right? People kind of either go silent or simply disappear from social media or change social media or whatever because they have this or that political view and so on. But for me, I realize that the older I get, the less I have to say, and the
The less
less
I'm
in the sense,
sure.
the less I'm sure. Yeah. So instead of just before I would just I had a thought in my head. Oh, let's tweet it. Let's tweet it. Let's share it. With the world. And right now, I have a thought, and almost immediately I have and I think, oh, it's a great
Counter
thought, and
thought.
then yeah, and I have a counter thought, like, you know
Yeah.
what? Everything could be denied. Everything could be debunked.
Yes.
Everything could be presented from another perspective equally valid, you know and so the end result is that I simply go silent. I mean, there's no point even talking about this,
Yeah,
no
but what
point
if
talking about
all
that.
people were like you? So what do we
But
let's
this is
take
not
take
this is not being spineless. I think it's actually being careful, being reasonable, because
but how do you
it,
know
it,
where is the line between people just don't
yeah,
want not wanting to take sides and not
I'm listening right now. Also, if I listen to various podcasts, and I listen to people like you said, very sure of what they are saying and so on, I sort of admire them, but I also think that uh, this might be a pose. This might be, of course, very often, podcasts unlike ours, there are experts, right? People who come to the studio with certain knowledge about economics and whatnot, and they use it. But I was listening exactly to an interview with an economist lately, and I thought that what, I would like to go to any kind of program, a podcast or whatnot, and say such obvious things or repeat something that you as an economist you probably read 1 billion times and repeated another billion times, during lectures or other programs. And you just keep repeating the same and the same and the same, and people
But that's
still.
actually not the most dangerous thing. I'm thinking of whenever I'm thinking of this, whether you should strongly or to which extent you need to defend what you believe in. When I'm thinking of an appalling fact when at some point, I don't know, it was the 50s or the 40s,
Hmm.
doctors believed that pregnant women should get, for example, X-ray.
Hmm.
And this was the expert opinion back then.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
they
you're right.
basically killed so many, babies.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or then later, I don't know, when they discovered that there is cholesterol and everybody stopped eating eggs and
Yeah,
whatever. And then
yeah. And
later
then
they
it
say,
turned out,
sorry,
yeah.
we were wrong. So how do I know? I mean, first of all, how can you be so sure? And right now, there's every day there are new findings. We discovered that this and that and that, and now you should be doing this and that and that, you know,
Hmm.
not even doubting that, hey, let's maybe you should be doing this, but let's wait for a couple of years and see what like
But you
but
can
if, but
correct
if
me if
you
I'm
but
wrong,
then you
but
cannot be sure in anything on the other hand if you go to
yeah,
another
true.
extreme.
But isn't that a sign of intelligence? If you're not sure
Which
of,
not
I
sure.
mean,
Well, maybe
yeah,
it's a sign of not
because
having enough intelligence.
that depends. That
You
depends.
see.
But that depends. But I guess that having doubts, I mean, only fools have no doubts. And
Yes,
and
but
and
you
I
need
guess
to
that
find
having
this
doubts
balance.
is
If you have doubts, but you're
sure,
still
sure,
able to
because
go
at one
and
point, of course, at one point it totally binds you and makes you unable to move forward, right? To
yeah,
make any kind of decision, right?
yeah.
Because it could be this, could be that, could be um, yes. I'm generally, but you're right. It's a little bit like buying something online. You know, you could be searching the internet for, let's say, a cheaper price, right? Or because right now, if you think about these kind of e-commerce platforms and so on, there are plenty of them. You may use this one, that one, another one, and so on. So you could probably do an extensive search and find what you're looking for exactly, the what you're looking for, and the cheapest at the cheapest price possible. But who's doing that? I mean, at one point you just have to trust your gut feeling or something, say, okay, I'm buying here, you know, this is where my search stops. And I guess
But
it's
this
pretty
is
much the
very
same with.
different. No.
No, I think because making we make our decisions based on incomplete
Yeah, but
uh,
in this situation,
data, right?
only you will suffer if you overpay. Okay. But if you go
Hmm.
out there and defend your whatever
Yeah, that's
theory,
different. You're right.
other
Right.
people may suffer because they
Yeah.
believe you, because they think that you're an expert and you never doubt.
But yeah, isn't that actually,
But
what is called leadership skills? I mean, you're able to make decisions, take responsibility for it.
based on whatever information you have, the best
Yeah,
information you have at this
yeah,
moment, yes.
exactly, exactly. But um, but there are a lot of people who have no scruples, and
Yeah, but
they gladly take.
I was actually not, it's not that I struggle so much with, whom to trust, but with where to draw, I mean, how to understand if you really just don't want to make mental effort or whatever, or
Hmm.
take a stand,
Hmm.
or you're just a very, I mean, humility is your biggest virtue. How do I, do you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, it goes back to that vocab teaching. But why don't you get these books, and
Yes.
read about it and
Yeah.
find out the truth? Is vocab learning actually, I mean, worthwhile, or is it energy wasted? And consequently,
And there are
what to
actually
do about
many
it?
teachers who are very confident that what they're
Absolutely,
doing
yeah,
works
yes,
100%. And if you do it exactly
yeah,
like this,
yeah,
you
yeah.
will guaranteed, it's guaranteed that you will get
Mm-hmm.
results.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I really envy those people because I would like that
Yes,
confidence,
yes,
at least
yes.
in one facet of my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that makes
You're
me
right.
think that I'm a totally spineless person.
No, Masha, this is not being spineless. Because being spineless means that you either change your point of view or preferences depending on the situation. Being spineless is a very bad thing. It's a pejorative term,
I understand that,
and
but
I don't think that having doubts uh, is
when you're
wrong.
always on the fence,
When you're all, yeah, that is, this kind of indecision. It is a problem, sure. But um, hmm, yeah, I mean, wow, that is really complex. But this is not being spineless uh, if you don't know and if you hesitate. It's not being spineless. It's true that people think that you could do the research and find out and make a more informed decisions. But there's a lot of situations, a lot, where further reading does very little, to improve your confidence about decision making. So this decision making, this ability, is something different. You make decisions not always, and I would even say more often, based on your gut feelings rather than informed decisions that result from years of experience and so on.
but I'm thinking, okay, if you know exactly, um, if you sit down and just try and understand, formulate, your core values, your core beliefs about this
Hmm.
world,
Hmm. Hmm.
then your life will probably become, well, I don't know if it's probably not easier, but at least whenever you make a decision, you will consult with this list, what are my priorities, and you will make better
Hmm.
choices just because you know that, okay, this is what I believe in, this is what I value. And if you don't have this, your own, I don't know, philosophy, call it
Hmm.
whatever you want,
Hmm. Hmm.
then you will always be, I mean, you don't have this, well, it's not a spine, but what is it? Is this
I know the
core?
core values, but what do you mean? Like, because I believe that we do have certain core, like let's say that uh, we want to do good, right? Not evil.
Well, yeah, but that's too vague.
I know it's vague, but at least we learn from very early on. I guess this is all about raising children is about teaching them how to spot good and evil, or tell them apart, and potentially to choose the good side, right? This is all about, I think this is raising
It's interesting. It
children.
is raising. In English, there's this word
Hmm.
raising. In
Hmm.
Ukrainian, and I'm sure in Polish, there's the word виховувати.
Wychowanie, yes.
That's a very
Yeah.
different. That's raising just doesn't do it. And this is what I heard once from my child, that you
Hmm.
never explicitly виховувати, me,
Hmm.
because you never taught me explicitly, this is what people should be doing. These are, I don't know, some 10 family commandments. And I was, a little bit taken aback because raising, yeah, okay, raising, just make sure that they are growing, they're healthy, they are.
Hmm.
In
No, but
English,
in
there is no,
raising, in raising, in contrast to rising, right? There is this kind of element of intentional action, right? So you, as a
yeah,
parent, you
but our word
control
is much
how
wider.
they grow. Yeah, I mean, because
That you
in our for
instill
those who
certain,
who
you will
don't speak,
instill this word in Ukrainian, it implies that you will instill certain principles in your child. And for
mhm.
starters, I mean, of course, there are like don't
But it's
kill, don't
implicit, it
steal, but
happens
there are other,
implicitly.
but okay, maybe implicitly because they look at you and they, understand what you're doing. But I wouldn't even be so brave as to explicitly instill, tell my children that this is what I believe people should be doing. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
because
talking
if you
about
do it,
Ten
if
Commandments, but some
yeah, but
other
if exactly,
stuff.
but if you do it, And um, there are people who take uh, religious texts as their compass, but very often they turn into some kind of radicals, who are
Yes.
unable to lift,
Yes.
or change their point of view even slightly. I think it's also very dangerous. But of course, they are looking for some safety, some harbor, right, where I can,
Or an easy way
always,
out because somebody has
or
given it
always
to you.
you out. Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't need
But
to,
you don't need to develop your own system of morals and
well,
so on,
not
because
develop, but you need to
everything's,
adopt something
yeah,
that would guide your actions, you know?
yeah, yeah. But I think that, like, sticking 100% to the Bible or any other holy text, um, doesn't. I don't think it actually gives you the spine. It's I mean, definitely not the spine. It
No, no,
it
no,
it
you
it kind
can't,
of
you
gives you a
can't do
cage.
that, not with,
You're
yeah, not with
you're a
the Bible
prisoner.
because not, I mean, very few people really understand what the words in the Bible mean. If they follow
Yeah, and on
it,
top of
you
that, it was
know,
written 2,000 years ago, or
yeah.
or even earlier. And we live in 2025, and the world is a bit different. Human nature remains the same, perhaps, but the choices we face are new, and we have to,
Yeah, but okay,
make
if we're
do
not
with.
talking about some texts like Bible or Torah or whatever, by
Mhm,
certain age, let's say by 40, you've probably already developed some, okay, let's call them values. You
mhm,
would say, you can say to yourself, okay, I would never do this because I believe that,
mhm,
you know, this and that.
mhm, mhm,
And very often that's your spine. And guided by, based on these principles and beliefs, you would,
mhm,
I mean, you probably should be able to defend them.
mhm.
If Joe Rogan tomorrow invites you on his podcast to represent mentals, will you will you be as assertive and confident as, I don't know, Jordan Peterson?
I think if I was in the heat of the conversation, I could be, but I don't know if I would like to listen to myself later on. You know, um, it also depends, your kind of confidence in your values. It depends a little bit on the context, because you are definitely less confident when it comes to the decisions about yourself than about others, right? Because if you have to tell others what to do, how to cope with problems,
Yeah,
and
imagine, I don't
tell
know,
children,
if
you have
Jesus
more
Christ
self-confidence.
existed, where
Hmm.
did he find the courage to go and to convert so many people? This is such
But
huge responsibility. And why did he think that his
yeah, yeah,
way of
you're right, you're
living
right,
was correct?
you're right. But um, I guess we go back to the conversation about, wisdom again, because if you possess wisdom, that is some kind of a universal, thing. Because, the sages of this world, like Jesus Christ, Buddha, and others, they they didn't know whether you have to buy, Nike shoes or some other shoes, but they had certain principles that were way, way, way above that, these kind of, ground level decisions, and they were guided by them. But I don't think they would advise you on what to do to, to ace that job interview, or
Yeah,
to,
but it's everything falls into place if you have these let's say you believe that, you know, um nobody should be nobody should be enslaved, okay? Then if you
hmm,
know
hmm,
that Nike uses children's labor, then
hmm,
it's that's it.
hmm,
That's very clear. And many, many
hmm,
decisions in your life will be very, very
hmm,
easy to make if you had these unshakable, well, unshakable is also because you need to be flexible. You need to challenge your beliefs and doubt them like every, I don't know. But
The goal,
do
Masha,
you,
is to be, but the goal, I guess, is to be a pine tree, not to have some kind of resilience.
yeah,
When the wind is blowing, and you're just, you're able to move a little bit, to the left or to the right. Because if you're rigid and you believe in whatever, some core or hardcore, set of principles, then I guess you're easier to break. Also.
but if you don't believe in anything,
That is
it's
the
even
problem. Because on the
even
one side, we on the one side we have a total relativism, like, well, it's,
yeah.
like that or that. I don't care. On the other side, we've
Relativism
got
is the
some.
word, yeah.
Yes.
Not spineless.
Uh, yeah,
Okay,
you're
no,
right.
no, go on, go on,
But
go
on
on.
the other side, we've got some fundamentalists, right? I mean, some kind of, people who
Who's
are
in the middle?
unable.
What would you call people who are in the sweet spot?
Well, normal
They're just
people.
nice guys, yeah.
Normal people. I mean, yeah, but this is true that we normally don't know what are our beliefs. I believe there are only,
And that's
some
the
times of
problem.
trial, but there are some times of trial, like, a war breaks out or some other events, and this is where, a test is being run, and this is how you learn people's characters, and this is why we always say that, you get to know people really who they are during the time of crisis. This is where you actually uh, have an opportunity to touch that core of yours, and see what's inside. Is there
I think you
courage?
really
Is
get to know
there
who they
cowardice?
are when you see them every day, doing mundane stuff. Like, do they, I don't know, what's with their discipline? You can only see it in, just observing how they
Mhm.
behave every day. Because when it's an extraordinary situation, anybody can, I mean, anybody can, um, um,
Freak out
no,
or
go without sugar for a month. But try
mhm.
and just have a healthy lifestyle. Oh, that's a very different thing. It requires, I mean, you understand that this is for life.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is where you see the character because anybody can run a marathon, just go without something for 10 days or do something like
Mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
but be a good man all your life. That's difficult.
But
Not do
that is
one
that
good deed.
what yeah, it reminds me of another pair, and it's something that I guess we discussed here, that is patience and stubbornness. It's much easier to get stubborn, to be stubborn. I'm not touching sugar, for the next 30 days or 365, doesn't matter. And I may be so stubborn, I'm not gonna touch it. you know and this
That's not
stubbornness is,
stubbornness, that's determination.
but you okay, determination, but it has some form of stubbornness in it. That you're stubborn. Simply, it's maybe illogical, maybe your body needs sugar, maybe, whatever, but I'm stubborn, I'm not touching it. I have a lot of sugar, uh, at my fingertips, but I'm not touching it. So I guess it's that, but
No, but
another
I was
thing
trying to
is.
say that you get to understand what person believes in and what their priorities are, not when the war breaks out, but when you
Mhm,
look at their calendar,
mhm,
Well, if they are saying that, okay, my family, of course, is the most important thing to me, and you look
mhm,
at their calendar and they work all the time.
mhm,
So it goes kind of it means either the person is just declaring some value or
mhm.
they don't even know what their values are. So I'm
Oh,
trying to
that
say
is
that
tough. That is hard. It is very hard. I
during
wish we I
crisis you
I wish
probably
we had I wish we had more people here on the show, so that we could basically outsource, that question to others. So I guess it's also a
we're
reminder. It's
not
time
smart
to.
enough.
Yeah. No, I'm really. I feel like I'm lacking uh,
Some
you
values.
know,
Spine.
to answer spine, to
Spine.
answer that question, because and it's actually something that I have been thinking about lately, but I also feel powerless against that, it's I wish I was more integral. Is that maybe the thing,
Maybe that's integrity. Yeah, maybe after all,
Yeah,
that's integrity.
because I wish I had some kind of convictions
Mm-hmm.
strong, and
Mm-hmm.
I could follow them,
Mm-hmm.
and not let up, But to be honest, it depends on the day. Sometimes you wake up, you're more motivated. Sometimes you think that, oh, that's a great. Take, for example, writing, some texts for newsletters, for example, you know? And sometimes you feel like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm going to write about that, because I feel exactly this. And sometimes I feel like, yeah, but it could be also, totally different, and I feel that suddenly the idea for the text is basically not a solid one, or that my point of view that I thought is very sharp is suddenly like it's not sharp at all. Yeah, yeah, it's true, but I wonder if hmm, my gut feeling is telling me that, yeah, in times like this you need some kind of stimulation, you need some kind of mm, um, anger inside, but the positive anger, because I like writing, for example, when I'm like, yeah, I'm totally, because anger, or a feeling that's close to it, is helping to see things clearer. I'm not saying more objectively, but it's sharper, and yeah, it's like that. But I think that the majority of people, they don't know what they are feeling, and that's why, when they hear some populist leaders, who promise something, they are able to vote for them, or trust them,
Don't know what
because
they're
that leader
feeling or what
is,
they believe in.
they're not sure what they believe in, so they go with this guy, or
Well, you
that
see,
guy.
that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
But
a
I
very
think it
dangerous
applies.
thing.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing. But isn't actually education about developing this kind of, you know, uh,
Growing a spine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, something, to base your opinion on.
So humility was not the right thing to contrast it with.
No, because no, because you have to be humble in the sense that you believe in something, but you
Leave
allow,
room. Mhm.
yeah, you have room for some doubts, or you allow the thought that I may be wrong, And I think this is wait, did you say humility or humbleness?
Humility.
Humility. All right. All
So I
right,
need
but
so there is no way of understanding if I have this right level of humility or I just don't have a spine.
no, I mean they are kind of yeah, they are not far from each other. They look similar, but like all the concepts that we confront here, like shyness and cowardice, right? They are also kind of the same, but this one is really tough. Yes, I agree. So this kind of lack of certainty, to me, it's fine to have it, even though it looks like sometimes it helps to be like super self-confident. But you never know if people who seem to be very confident of what they're saying, if they truly are like that, or if they. I told you, if Rogan invited me to his show, I would probably be more self-confident answering
Why?
questions. I don't know, because sometimes in the heat, I think there's also a psychological mechanism, that once you get in the heat of the debate, you take a side, whichever, you pick, but it's not what you really feel. People in conversations, in debates, people do it subconsciously. They take sides, sometimes opposite sides, and they cling to their side, even
Well, it wouldn't
if
be a debate if somebody, yeah, if it's a debate and they are confronting you, then
a
yes,
debate
you
of
will debate.
relativists.
Yeah, what a thing. No, but I mean, when a person would
A
be
great debate of
genuinely
the Lord.
interested, and of course he would have questions about your method.
Hmm.
You think you would be able to, let's say, defend it?
Yeah, because I have some feelings that yeah, I'm not definitely not. I'm not a relativist, I'm not. I don't. Even though I may not know what I'm doing, like 100% consciously, and and be able to write a scientific paper on it. I do have certain, feelings that I guess make me in this area at least, teaching integral. Like, I think I know what I'm doing, But
That's
again,
good.
this is when I'm kind of pressed, or yes. But if you tell me right now to lay down, the core principles, I would have to think about it, If I was to write a text about it, well, that would be painful. But if somebody kind of pressed me, maybe.
So you're open to an
Yeah,
invitation. I
yeah.
wouldn't even go.
No, I mean, yeah, I would go.
You will go.
Yeah, I
Really?
mean, yeah, I would probably, shit my pants, and I would go. It's a chance once in a lifetime. All right. Um, Great, but the
So let's
question is
hope that
great,
you
but
he will extend an invitation to you after this
yeah, let's hope. Yeah,
show.
let's hope. Yeah, exactly. Great, great. So, Masha, thanks for the question. Because I was able to kind of revisit some thoughts that I had in my head. How was the question born, by the way?
Well, this is
Do you
something
know?
I'm struggling with.
Yeah, but it's yeah, there's kind of growing silence on my side, on social media and so on. Um,
No, I'm not on
yeah.
social media. It's not about that. It's just
No,
that,
no, but this is part of that picture, right? It's clearly the result of me not growing more confident with age, but actually less confident, which is quite strange, because when you're young, but it's also true that when you're young, you're more radical or whatever, you're more kind of mm,
oh yes, yes. I remember.
yeah,
I
and then
definitely had a
and
spine back then.
yeah, yeah, and with time, instead of but it's
Mm.
instead of growing more um radical, let's say, and confident, you are growing kind of softer, right, on the edges, which is good, I guess, because you can accommodate maybe more things.
But
But then
this is
again,
kind
I
of
hate,
counterintuitive. The older you get, the more
yeah,
you know. So you should be more confident, not
exactly.
less.
You're a father or
But
a
you know what they
mother,
say,
you
the
have
more you
experience,
know,
and
the more you
yeah,
know that you don't know anything.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's
exactly.
actually true, you think?
This is true. Yeah.
Ah.
All right. But yeah, but it's I wonder, professionally it also makes sense because the longer you work somewhere, the more you think things may not be as they seem,
Maybe, but I hope that's not true if you're, I don't know, a doctor
Yeah,
or
I
a
mean,
pilot.
yeah.
I hope they don't they don't only rely on theories like we in language
Yeah,
learning.
but and then it's different if we talk about, some physical jobs or some activities, and different when you think about theories, and so on. I guess more theoretical, intellectual stuff. Because it is in this domain, that you become kind of more hesitant. Maybe, maybe.
Maybe
Or maybe that is simply more being more nuanced, or I don't know, more open, you know,
to,
to new ideas. I don't know. But then again, this is counterintuitive. I mean, and also it goes against, the common sense, because they say that actually elderly people have problems changing their point of view
yeah,
because
they're
they have
very
already
close-minded.
grown
They tend
into,
to
yeah, they're
become very
close-minded, exactly.
close-minded. They don't even listen to new music anymore.
Yeah, exactly, All
And they
right.
don't hang
So
out with the youngsters.
yeah, but thanks a lot, Masha, for allowing me to reflect on that, even though
There
I
were
guess I
no
didn't
clever
I didn't
conclusions as
yeah,
well.
I no clever conclusions yet. I didn't formulate any hard principle. Yes. But yeah, it is something to think about for sure. Think out
I hope
loud maybe
somebody
too.
will comment.
Yes, exactly. Give us your thoughts, dear listeners. What do you think about that? What do you think about being sure of yourself and of your opinions, and speaking them out in public?
Yes. So if you want to to suffer just like like
Just
you
like
heard
we
us
do
suffer,
here weekly. Yes, yes. I
you're
guess it's
welcome.
time,
Anybody
Masha,
is welcome.
to
Yeah.
yeah, to start sending out some invitations. Come on, we need more brain power here, and I mean it. And it's
We're
not
getting
like,
older and not so
yeah,
sure in what we
yeah, yeah. We are not so sure anymore. We used to crack these concepts like, look, that's the
yeah,
difference.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
no, it was never like that. All right, great.
So
Thanks
you
a
can be a
lot.
guest on this show. You can become our students.
Why
Subscribe
not?
to our newsletter. What else can people
And
do? They can buy us a coffee if they want to support this
oh yeah, of course. All
project.
of the links,
We
the
like
litany of
coffee.
it is below this episode in the description. So feel free to click any of these links.
Yes. So, yeah, this was another episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Bye bye.